Morning YouTubers. So we had an absolutely awesome day with James a couple of days ago. That was an episode 3 of Fuel Your Craft. We got some really good footage with him. We got chatting about other business things as well, which we'll probably put in some separate clips. But what we'll do is we'll overlay some of the footage that we created for James for his social media, and obviously that whole idea of trying to reduce that distrust gap for potential clients. With him, we obviously did shopping round M&S, which was actually quite fun because I think he actually does quite a lot of it online, so he doesn't quite often go into store. So we were there for quite a while, and we had to get his wife Rebecca to help us out finding the bits for him, but we got there in the end, and we'll overlay some of that now.
It's worn off. Enjoy it, but the novelty's definitely worn
off. Is it worn off?
Today. The makeup doesn't help anyway, but anyway. Family grounds. Have no friends anyway, so.
So this morning I have actually a close friend of mine who's just graduated as Ed, who's just graduated as a doctor, but he wants to specialise in, well, you actually see in a minute, but like body function, nutrition. He's been into fitness for a long time, and he kind of wants to move outside of the general doctor role and specialise more in that field. And he doesn't really know what he's doing in terms of starting a business. He's always been in academia, as with most people that I talk to. So he's going to come over this morning, and we're going to kind of structure what it is that he's going to be thinking about what he's doing. I know he's been doing some already. I've already given him some advice, so it's not like completely fresh. We'll be talking to him about how maybe the best way for him to start getting the ball moving. This seems to be the hardest thing for most people when it comes to business, is actually starting. Most people have paralysis by analysis, which tends to be brighter people. They kind of overanalyze absolutely everything that could possibly go wrong, or they possibly might need to do before they actually even start. And look, when it comes to business, from my experience, action is key. Like, you have to have some idea of what you're doing, but the best thing to do is start and then refine. Like this YouTube channel, for example, like, we're putting out content. I don't know the best content to put out, but if I spent another year trying to figure that out, it's not going to work. So the best thing for me to do was start the channel, start producing content, and then listen to you guys' feedback and then refine it going forward. And that's the same thing you should do with a business as well. Have a general concept, get the theme right, do your due diligence, look at your competition, work everything out, get good advice, and then just start. And it will never be perfect whenever you start. I mean, unless you're one in a million. Occasionally it happens, but it doesn't. Like, you have to start, then action, and then refine as you go along. Ed's one of these people that likes to overanalyze everything. He's a very smart guy, so we need to make sure he just starts, and that will be a lot of the discussion today. But he'll be turning up shortly. I'm going to finish my coffee and catch you in a moment. Hello, buddy. You alright?
Different top, same top.
Jakes! He's going straight back for that tyre, man.
Why has he got an obsession with my goddamn tyre, man? Get off!
I still consume it, but I was doing 50 coffees a day.
Yeah.
That was really messing me up.
I think the effect was lost on you, but the side effect was like all the way.
Yeah. I was getting all the downsides and none of the perks.
The second video where you talk about like the routine, setting up like the successes for the day.
Yeah.
And like you can almost use that as like a bookmark for like the end or the start of something. Like coming in here, having that routine, and then.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a kind of, when it comes to emotions, I kind of let my emotions run. And then I'm a very stubborn guy, so I've noticed that if I'm in a particular mood, I struggle to change that mood. So what I'll do is, if I'm in a chilled mood, I'll go and do something that chills me out. If I'm in a mood that's like really energetic or whatever, I'll go to the gym. Or if I'm in a really productive mood, I'll do something productive. So, and then I have these little things that I do in my life that will kind of exaggerate those moods quite often. I mean, unless it's a negative mood, then it's difficult for me to get out of it. So then what I tend to do is just distance myself from a little while, and then we spoke about that the other day actually. I'll distance myself a little bit, and then I'll come back once I feel better or whatever, and then I'm a bit introverted that way, to be honest. Like, I quite like pulling out.
You feed from the positive, and then you try and
pull away from the negative. Yeah, I kind of ignore it till it goes away. But I do, like I said, if I'm having if I'm having like a really stressful day, then the whiskey thing is great for me. I don't like associating like drugs with, so for example, alcohol with a negative experience. So what I do also then try to do is when I'm having a good experience as well, I'll also have a whiskey. So it's not, I'll go, that's my go-to every time I feel bad or whatever. So because I don't want that to become that association thing.
Yeah.
But for me, like classical music, chilled room, whiskey, I'm awesome. That's like my meditation state.
And I assume that happens at the end of the day rather than before breakfast.
Always.
Whiskey for breakfast.
I mean, yeah, I do that as a celebratory thing, or I'll do it if I just need to chill out. Yeah. But I don't let things get to me like I used to.
No, it's interesting because I'm doing the same thing while thinking about it more deeply. Is now when I train, I'll have a reward system. Whereas if the training session has met the goals of my training session, i.e. I don't have lower back pain or something at the end, I'll have a reward system. At the moment, it's a shot of chocolate Baileys.
Okay.
And it's just, I begin to associate this tastes good or I feel good with I've set a goal and I've achieved it. Because I think it's easy like to go to the gym and not really know what you're doing, come out being like, I did a workout, but what was the purpose of me going to work out?
Yeah.
And then not reinforcing that.
Interesting you say that. I mean, you're looking at just purely from obviously a fitness thing, but like I've, without knowingly, done that since I can remember.
Yeah, but and a behaviour thing as well, but yes.
I've had to be more careful in more recent times because that's my personality type. I'm very extreme. So what I realised was I became very big on punishing myself when I didn't do things to the best of my ability.
Yes.
And it wasn't so much I cared about the rewards, it was more like, okay, you didn't do exactly as you should have done. So tomorrow or tonight you're doing X, Y, Z, you're gonna have to work another 3 hours. And you know what, it really helped me become successful. Like it just got me to where I am. But I've had to change that mindset and say, right, okay, like there's a guy called Dan Pino I've been watching videos of recently, and the guy he's a very extreme right-wing guy, but he's right. Like he calls us a snowflake generation. Like it's okay to get an 8th place trophy. In my opinion, it's not okay. Like if you want to be, it is okay in certain circumstances, but if you want to be like hyper successful like me, that's one of my goals. I'm not saying this is like a generic thing, this is just for people that want to be very successful. It's not okay to be 8th, right? You need to be number 1, or you need to push as hard as you possibly can, right? So, and if getting that to number 1 requires you to tick off certain goals along the way, you need to have checked some markers along the way to make sure that you're hitting those goals. And it's not a positive, I'll have a whiskey tonight if you didn't go and have a good workout, or you didn't work for 10 hours and you didn't tick those things off. It's okay, you don't get those things today, and because of that, you now have to work harder to catch up. And I realised that with that, I did that since I literally can remember on myself, and that became quite a sadistic thing, and almost to the point which I enjoyed it, like pushing myself. I didn't really want to reward myself. Now I'm much better, I'm much more balanced, and I always tell people that, like you've just said, it's good to have those reward systems in place. It's an incentive structure, right?
Yeah.
For success.
You're basically switching the mindset from I'm doing this to punish myself to I'm doing this so I feel better.
Yeah.
Like not feeling bad isn't the same as loving yourself or feeling good. Like they're two different things. I think we forget that a lot. So yeah.
So Ed, business.
Yep.
Well, I mentioned a minute ago before you came on camera that you're not just starting out, you've already put some wheels in motion. We've spoken before a few times, whatever else, but like you're at a position now where you're very much in the infancy stage, you're just trying to set things up. You haven't got a massive amount of business experience, you've been in academia most of your life, you're a bright guy, and I said that, I mentioned on camera earlier, one of your issues is you are a very bright guy, so you almost have paralysis by analysis a lot, where you overanalyze everything. You need to double check things a million times before you action anything. And I know you've got much better recently, where you've actually started putting the wheels in motion and you're starting to do things. But like, where are you at the moment, and what is it that you're then kind of what are your goals? Where you're at the moment, and kind of we can talk about maybe the best way to go about next. What's the next step?
Yeah, I guess I'll put it into a bit of context. In that, so I'm interested in diet and nutrition, and I always have been for like whenever you got me into it, which was like 2007.
Oh yeah, we were big then.
It was back on. No, probably earlier than that, 2003.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And I didn't really understand much then, so I went away and did a biochemistry degree to try and understand the fundamental scientific basis of nutrition and training. Where are we? Applying these things to medical conditions. And so, yeah, as you say, I'm in my infancy, and the first kind of block I've hit really is how do I go about doing it, and what do I really want to do? Who are the kind of people I want to see? Like, essentially, what is the product that I am trying to sell, be it myself or a service or whatever. We've chatted a bit about that in the past, and you said at the moment it doesn't matter too much, just try and start generating content. So what I've done is created a few things, email addresses, etc. Started working on a brand that's loosely based around me, and then I have my Instagram account, which I try and keep posting relatively interesting things to kind of give people an idea of what my interests are and what my levels of expertise are in different areas, and then ideally get into kind of vlogging my journey, a bit like what you're doing, to develop a client base, i.e. patients, really.
Yeah, so as I keep hammering home to absolutely everyone, showing and documenting what you're doing on a daily basis is like the best way nowadays to validate who you are, social proof your successful clients and everything else. So with that, just you doing that and engaging in the social community, and obviously giving as much value as you possibly can, especially when you start small. Yeah. That's why so many businesses start up and they're free, because like look at the Facebooks and like all these big companies that started for free, built up a really big client base, and then tried to monetize. So but in my opinion, even when you're ultra successful, you still need to give value. Without adding value to someone before you ask them for money, they'll never buy from you.
That's true.
I mean, unless your product's needed to the point at which you can't live without it. Most services need value. Same way that I'm doing this YouTube series. It's about trying to give as much people value as I possibly can without asking anything in return. So obviously doing what you're doing is great. And the good thing about trying to just get out there and start, especially by giving maybe some free advice or whatever else, you might not know exactly what product you are going to offer yet, which is understandable because there's so many ways you could do this thing. And you might have a great idea that this particular product will work, but when you actually work with 10, 15 people, you might quickly realize that, oh, actually they don't need that, they need this. This is really something that, you'll start seeing patterns very quickly emerge. And then also how to price things, and that becomes very difficult straight off the bat until you actually get your feet wet, you get moving, and what you're starting to do. I know you've started picking up a few clients, on more of a pro bono type basis, just to try and build a good rapport with them, and no doubt you're great at what you do. So once that gets across, and then I can hopefully help you document that, which is really important, and then they can social proof you, because it'll all start tying in. But business wise, like, are you going to try and build a website? Are you going to try and just do this by word of mouth, or what's the...
I think because at the moment I'm offering essentially a service to the local community, I think the word of mouth thing is obviously very important. I was going to ask you, like, do you think it's worth upgrading from just using an Instagram account? I have a lot of blog posts that I've written that I obviously don't have anywhere to put at the moment.
Well, look, the more outlets you can get on, the better, right? And the thing is, I'm gonna have to get him out. Jinky, in your bed. In your bed. And he's off. Oh, he's gonna stop there. He's got itchy ears on him. Right, so the more outlets you can get on, the better. So if you're writing a blog post, what I always encourage people to do is then maybe do a video on it as well. So put it on YouTube, keyword that, put it on your website with the blog post underneath, so then you're hitting Google, you're hitting YouTube. You can then share that on Facebook with a link back to there. You can share on Twitter with a link back to there. The good thing about blog posts as well, and a bit of a technique for people that are trying to get outreach, if you're giving valuable videos and blogs, start reaching out on websites like the Twitters. There's an American site called Quora, Quora, which is like a question-based website. It's massive, really big, and it's becoming a lot more popular in the UK as well. So people ask questions on there, like health-related, injury-related, stuff like that. And what you can do is you can go on there and you can filter by topic or keywords. And if you've got a blog post that covers someone's problem, simply just say, hey, I'm such and such, check out my website, I've written a blog post which covers this and will help you. And very quickly you'll start building a name for yourself, because you're literally going out and helping people for free, basically. I know a lot of successful online guys have done this, and they still do this. Even when they're successful, they will still actively search online. And so going back to upgrading from an Instagram account, if you're producing content, get it out there. And like I said, if someone emails you and said, well, what about this problem? You've already got an FAQ base because you've got a blog post that may have covered it. Do you know what I mean? So, and not only that, over time, Google should hopefully start picking that up, and you'll start ranking very well because of it. You've also got, look, people search for people in a plethora of different ways. You've got find you on YouTube, they'll find you on blog posts. If you're happy to produce those things, maybe podcast. Like, if you're happy to produce those things, then and you've got the time. I know you're going to be starting your main job as a doctor soon. But in your spare time, focus on maybe hitting all of them. Or if you find and this is for other people as well. Like, for me personally, I prefer video. I don't like writing. I'm not a very good writer. So I'm going to focus predominantly my time and effort on that. If you can do both, then I would definitely advocate that. But I would tend to work on your strengths, because the thing you're best at, don't think, oh, just because video is coming out, I need to do video. If that's not your forte, then focus on podcasts if that's your forte, or written word if that's your forte, because not only will it come across better because you're better at it, you'll also do it more often because it's something you're passionate about doing. So don't write yourself to one outlet.
Doesn't help having a disgusting face and boring voice.
Beautiful, man.
Shut up. Fake.
Yes.
It's humble. No, it
definitely makes sense, and I definitely should do it.
It's one of those things you don't want to be overthinking.
No.
And at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen, right? You set up a website, you can create a free blog. You could spend a few hours a night on Quora, or an hour a day, or even ask like a friends and family to find questions for you, which you can then reply to. Maybe like, if you haven't, just give it a go. If it doesn't work, then do something else. But like I keep saying, try it and then refine it. Try it, refine it. Don't try and refine it before you've even tried it, because when it comes to online stuff, all I know is that every single time I've overplanned something, it never ever works as I think it's going to play out. And I always have to change it anyway.
I think it's been bred into us medical people to keep your noses down, and
well, that's not just medical, more so like maybe engineers and things like that. You're risk averse, right? You do everything to kind of limit risk. And in business, it's the total opposite way of thinking. And like I keep saying, schools get this so wrong. It's when it comes to money and business, you need to take risks. Granted, they should be limited. Like, don't like risk your life or like all your family's, like all your mum's money on a stupid idea. Get knowledgeable, learn as much as you can, but honestly, theory and action are two different things. Same with training, man. You know this, right? You can read all you want about lifting a barbell, right? Until you go and pick up a bar with 200 kilos on a deadlift, you have no idea what that feels like. No matter how much you've researched the kind of structure of it, or how much you've read how heavy it is, you don't know what it's going to feel like until you've done it. And you don't know how to change your body or your lift or whatever it may be until you've done it. So the same with business, man. You just got to jump in and get as many people around you as you possibly can that kind of have done it, or maybe been there, or have good advice. Listen to them and just do it. I think you're in a good spot right now. So
I think so.
Like I say, we'll help you with documenting some of your client work, and we'll get you out there, and it'll be fun to watch you grow, because I know you'll do really well because you've got the service. It's just showing that to people now.
Yeah.
Because I know you help me, so I know your knowledge is great. It's just how do we get that to the people? And like I say, as many outlets as you possibly can, as much free advice and value as you possibly can. Like this, anyone starting business should be focusing on how much value can I give, not how much can I charge, how much. What else can I sell? It should be how can I help these people as much as possible.
Yeah.
And look, human beings, like a lot of people are selfish, but a lot of human beings will actually go out of their way to pay you when you do release a product if you've helped them. I know I do. If I've been consuming someone's free content for a long time, and there's a guy called Billy G I watch online, he's a marketing guy, and he does a load of free stuff, and do you know what, I love the content he was pumping out, and when he releases stuff, I buy it just to kind of support him because I'm not paying for the content he's putting out. A lot of people are the same.
Oh, I'm the same for sure.
Exactly.
Especially with the guys I learned a lot from. They release so much free stuff, podcasts, whatever.
And how much more do you trust them when they're not trying to sell you something?
Exactly.
There's always an incentive when you're trying to sell someone something. Everyone knows in the back of their mind that you're being sold. There's always that element that stops me completely trusting what you're saying because there's always money behind it.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult. That's why friends are friends, right? I mean, proper friends, you don't expect money from or like in return for their help.
Yeah.
Like that's how you can have those bonds with these people. And if you can do that as a businessman, your clientele base and your followers will just be massively strong.
Yeah, that's true.
It'll be huge. You might not have millions, but the ones that you do have will be there and the foundations will be super strong.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if there's a recession or anything else, you will get through those parts because the client base and the value you've been giving to people will speak for itself.
I guess that's why that helps you not worry about like the more global national issues and then kind of be more proactive in terms of...
Interesting you should say that. Actually, this would be good for a separate video. Right, so you can actually cut that bit about the separate video out. But in terms of like global things and worrying about that stuff, right? This is my opinion on it, completely my opinion. And when it comes to worry and it comes to things like all these macro elements that are going on with Brexit, you've got obviously Trump's causing a lot of stir in the Middle East and all this kind of stuff. When it comes to you worrying about that, how that's going to affect your business, I've asked so many people, I'm like, okay, what do you think is going to happen with Brexit? What do you think is going to happen with interest rates? What do you think is going to happen with inflation? They're like, I have no idea. Like, could you be 70% certain that you if you were to guess what would happen, it would be right? No, it's such a volatile thing to be worrying about that if you spend your time taking your time and effort away from worrying about how you can better yourself and your business, you'll end up worse off. The reason being is if you've just spent all of your time becoming more successful, more financially stable, yes, I mean that's with diversifying your maybe your assets, maybe having house, not all in like just cash or something, but making sure that you're being smart with your money. You've kind of diversified it, and you're building as many assets as you possibly can. When the time comes that maybe you need to relocate out of the country, or you need to hire a good lawyer because they've changed the terms of your industry because of Brexit, whatever else, you're going to be in a way better position because you're already richer, more wealthy, you've got more assets, you've already got more people that you can, you've got better network, because you spent your time focusing on getting better and not worrying about those things. If you're spending 2 hours every morning reading Brexit and actually not spending your time trying to build your business, you're going to be worse off. Yeah. You might get lucky and guess it right, and then you might be able to manipulate stuff, but I know for a fact the wealthier people are and the more power they have, the more dynamic they can be.
Yeah.
They can move countries, they've got the money to do things. Like, money, in my opinion, is options. So the more money and the more success you have, the more options you have should something go Pete-tong. Right?
Yeah,
so just focus on those things.
It works in my field as well. I mean, it's the same issue. We're worried about Brexit, but we're also worried about what's going to happen to the NHS, what's going to happen to the health service. But if you spend all of those hours that you spend stressing, looking stuff up, reading the news, listening to the news, having an argument with whoever about whatever, if you spent all of that time investing in your health, buying grass-fed organic beef rather than X, Y, or Z, you have health, and then in the same way, like good health gives you choices. If you've got awful health by the time that the NHS becomes privatized and you also have no money, then you don't have any choices.
Also, to add to that, you're talking about physical health, like mental health.
Yeah.
How does pessimism help productivity?
It
doesn't, right? So if you go in every day thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job, this, that, and the other, you're not going to be working hard. I mean, if you start to say, right, okay, I'm going to start investing more in like external courses, like building myself, reading more books, developing you as a person, like when those things happen, it might go all wrong, but I know you're going to be in a damn sight better position than if you'd spent all that time worrying. So we just had a gym session with Ed and cameraman Jake. He was training because he needs to get bigger, so he wasn't filming. Good session with Ed. I think he's finally starting to get the mental state that he needs to be in personally. Like I said, he's a thinker, not a doer. So we're trying to encourage him to do more and then refine after, which we talked about earlier, which is good. We're just off for a cheeky tan because the weather's starting to get better in the UK now and no one wants to look like a pale whale. Quickly wanted to talk about what's going on with a couple of my businesses. So I've got a new accountant actually, Sam, from a company called Prestige Accounting, and we're restructuring. Basically, there's a new thing called Section 24 has come out. It's been rolled out over the last 4 years, which basically means if you own property, you can't write the tax off, the interest on you can't write the interest on a mortgage off as a taxable expense. So what's happened is most people used to buy houses in their own name. So you go to the bank and you get a mortgage out for a buy-to-let in your own name. Now, what's happened is since this Section 24 has been rolled out, people have started buying houses under limited companies, because under limited company you can still do that. So we're restructuring everything, and because I'm looking to buy a couple more buy-to-lets at the moment. There's one that I'm looking at the moment, and then we're looking on the lookout for another one as well. Those will be put under my new company, Wise Holdings Limited, and the taxes will be changed that way. And also, while I'm doing that, Evolution Web's my marketing company has always been relatively small, because I've always had a few small clients, and I've now been expanding that over the last year, and because of that we're getting to a point now where it doesn't make financial sense not to have that in a limited company. So that's just been opened. I would show you the email. Sam's just told me that Evolution Webs Limited has just been opened, and all the accounts for the marketing and web design company will be now going through that, which now means that instead of taking a salary and being taxed top rate tax, I now take dividends and only pay corporation tax on that, and then unless I draw down as a salary, which I don't need to because I reinvest a lot of my money anyway. What I'm gonna do at some point is I'll actually do a video on exactly how to open up a limited company and how you go about opening a bank account for that. And it's really, really easy. People think that all the accounts and everything's hard. A couple of things to do for anyone that wants to start a new business is, first of all, get a good accountant. Ask some friends and family of people that actually already have a business. Ask them who they use for an accountant, or if they know of anyone that's a good one. Speak to them. They'll open the limited company for you, and it can be done within 24 hours. Mine took 24 hours. You can pay to get it done even quicker. But the thing that takes a little bit longer is opening up a business bank account. At the moment, HSBC and Santander are the two that I've spoken to. I'm going to go with HSBC. They take about a week to get an appointment, and then you've got to go in for an hour, and they'll open up a bank account for you, which will be the business bank account for your limited company. You'll get free business banking for 18 months, which basically means you're not paying any fees per month, all transactions, everything free. Then after, it's about £5.99 a month, I think, with HSBC, and there's a few minor transaction costs, but it's pretty cheap, and that's, again, it's a taxable expense. So really, you can probably open up a limited company with a bank account within 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how busy the bank is, and you're ready to go, basically. And look, if you start off a company, you should always have good tax advice from day one. It will save you a shed load of money. It will mean that everything that you're putting through initially will be going through correctly, and in most cases, most people get a tax rebate in their first year because their expenses are normally higher than their income if they're having to pay to open up a premises, or they're buying stock, or whatever it may be. So in terms of costings for accountants and setting up limited companies, if I remember rightly, to file for a limited company, it's about 15 quid, give or take. It's not much more than 20 tops. So, I mean, pretty negligible cost. For an accountant, so if you're going to create a sole trader, which basically is not a limited company, all you need to do is your end of year books, which if you did all the spreadsheets for them, if you're not particularly big and you gave them all of the accounts or on a spreadsheet ins and outs, you're probably going to pay something along the lines of £400 to £600, I would think, for end of year accounts for a sole trader. And for a limited company, typically the accountant will probably set it up for free. I've had accountants charge me for this before, which I've had arguments with, because you pay them monthly. So I pay roughly £100 a month for them to handle my accounts. But what I do is I give them all of the expenses through either I use QuickBooks. There's different accounting software which you pay £30 to £50 a month for. There's other ones out there a bit cheaper to speak to. So roughly you'd be spending about 150 quid for the accounts package, which you would input your sales and expenses, ins and outs, and then you'd pay your accountant to handle your accounts every month. The good thing about accountants as well is they're always on the other end of the phone, so if you've ever got any questions about the best way to buy something, because I mean, if you're buying a car or something like that, there's so many different rules, and look, at the end of the day, we're not accountants, we're businessmen, so that's their job to know that, and paying them a small fee to do it is more than worth it, and will save you a lot more time and money and stress and aggro. Look, those figures are based on small companies with you doing quite a lot of it yourself. Now that can vary massively. However, I've been overcharged by accountants before quite heavily, and it wasn't nice, and they didn't give me much information or help either. So it's really important to get a good accountant. But if you have any questions, or you've been given an invoice, or you've been given a quote from an accountant, and you want me to have a look at it, if I don't know the answer, I'll speak to my accountant and ask me if he thinks it's a good price. But I'll do everything I can in my power to help you guys out. So if you've got any questions with regards to costings, or what you've been charged, or if I think that's fair, just leave a comment underneath the video below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. And if there's any other questions with regards to anything we've spoken about today, or business in general, please get involved. Like I said, I want to build the community, so I'm on all of the comments and everything else, so just leave a message in the comments and I'll get back to you. But yeah, that's wraps episode, is it 4 I believe? 4 I believe, of Fuel Your Craft. I'm going to keep them coming, and please subscribe. Thank you.